In this video, I want to show some real use cases or useful applications that you can give to Neovide. Usually Neovide is thought as an application that you can use to make your Neovim look cooler because it has animations, it runs smoother. I just want to show you that there are some use cases for it and that it can be used as an additional tool that can help you. Notice that I'm in Ghosty right now. I'm inside Neovim and I'm going to bring up LazyGit. Notice that there are a lot of different changes that I have to push. And sometimes when I'm going through the changes, I just review the files here in LazyGit and I need to edit something, or I need to quickly go to the file to make some changes. As you can see here at the bottom of LazyGit, if you type the letter E, you can edit a file. So it usually opens it as a new tab within your terminal in Neovim. But I don't want to quit LazyGit. I want to press E and I want that Neovide is open so that I can edit the file there. So that's the first thing. That's what I configured. Just going to type the letter E here. You're going to notice that Neovide is open and I can modify the file there. How can we tell that this works or not? So I just added this comment here real quick. Notice on the top left corner here at the very top, you can see that I'm in Neovide. This is not Ghosty. I'm not sure why the icon shows like that, but this is Neovide. If I go back to Ghosty, you're going to notice that the change has not been applied yet. We do not see the comments here as of yet. If I try to move here, I cannot because LazyGit is waiting for Neovide to quit. So let me go back here. I'm just going to quit this. And now we can see the comments here in LazyGit. What if you don't want LazyGit to wait on Neovide? Can that be modified? Yes, it can. Let me show you how I did this change. So I'm just going to quit out of LazyGit here and I'm going to open a file, which is the LazyGit config.yaml file. Let me open that real quick. Notice the location of this file. It's shown here at the very top, but I'm using a symlink. If you're not using a symlink, where does this file have to be? Let me open my CSHRC file so that I can see where this symlink is pointing to. I'm just going to look for my file. Here it is. I'm in macOS. So here is where that file is pointing to, the symlink. Notice here that it's in home library, application support, LazyGit config.yaml. So if you're in macOS, that's where this file has to live, in here. So let's go back to the file then. Here in the OS section, you can see that I have a few options. This edit line and also edit at line. And also you have to make sure to set this edit in terminal to false. So when I type the letter E, it's going to bring up Neovide using this configuration, the Neovim, which is my configuration. Notice that it's calling Neovide here. The same for this. And you need to make sure you set this to false. Otherwise, it's going to edit the file in the terminal instead of doing it in Neovide. Notice that I also left some options here. Let me comment these two lines and I'm going to uncomment the two lines that are above. Notice what is added here at the bottom or at the end. This is so that LazyGit is not locked while Neovim is open. I haven't fully tested this. I'm not sure what issues it could cause. I have it disabled for now. Well, let me show you how it works. I'm going to switch back to this file. I'm going to bring up LazyGit here and let's give it a try one more time. I'm going to type the letter E here. Notice that Neovide is open. Now, if I switch back to this other file, if I switch back to Ghosty, notice that I can move around. What if I want to edit this other file instead? And type E here and it's going to open that other file. So notice that now that is the file that I'm working on. I didn't have to quit Neovide. Can go back here to Ghosty. Let's make a change in the link.cmp file. Just gonna E for edit again. I'm going to delete this test comment, or I'm just gonna add some other text here at the very end. Okay, now that I added that, let's go back here and let's see if the changes are there. You can see the text here at the very end, other text. So that's a really nice use case for Neovide. That's the first thing that I wanted to show you. The default option, at least in the LazyVim distribution, if we scroll down here, you're going to find it here at the bottom, nvim-remote. So if you want to use that, just make sure that you comment these three options here or comment the entire OS section. This is configured, this option, in the snacks plugin by default in the LazyVim distribution. Moving on to the next option, how do you disable plugins in Neovide? One of the plugins that is not compatible with Neovide is image.nvim. So when you open Neovide, you're going to get an error. Notice that I left a link here. Just going to type GX. It's going to take me to this site. You will get something like this. Failed to get terminal size. The message that you see down here. So how do you disable the image.nvim plugin then when you call Neovide? I'm going to open the disable.lua file. And here it is. This is the way that I enable or disable plugins when using Neovide. If I want to enable a plugin for Neovide, I don't use bufferline in my current config in Ghosty, but I do use it in Neovide. So this enables it only for Neovide. This also enables Project Explorer only for Neovide. So that's why this is there. And if I want to disable image.nvim, this is what takes care of that. Notice that I left the error here. If you don't disable it, you will always get this error. Notice that I'm going to open Neovide from here. I have a key map for that, letter F, capital N, and that is going to bring it up. Notice that I didn't get any errors about image.nvim or anything else. If I open another file here, just gonna search for another file. Let's say that I want to open my options.lua file that is shown here below. Notice that I have two tabs at the top because I only use tabs in Neovide. I don't use them in Ghosty. Moving on to the next tip, how do you open files from Finder? I don't normally do this, but let's say that, for example, I'm in Finder, and let's say that I'm navigating here with my mouse. Let's say that I want to see this options.lua file, or better yet, this colors.lua file. If I double click on this file, notice that it opened it in Neovide. Let me switch back to Finder here. What if I open a different file? Let's say that I open this test markdown.md file. I double clicked it, and notice that it also opened it here in Neovide. Why? This is directly in macOS. If I right click on this file, open with, Neovide is the default. So that's a macOS setting. If I click here in get info, you're going to notice here under open with, you can set it to Neovide and change it for all the different files of this extension. I didn't know about this feature until someone in my previous Neovide video mentioned it. If you want to understand how to set up Neovide, how to install it, I explained that in detail in this video. It was released 5 months ago, so go and check it out. Here is the video and here is the comment that let me know about this. Notice that it says here, easily open files by clicking the files. Works as an application. So thanks to this user for the tip. If you have any other Neovide tips that are not discussed in this video, please leave a comment down below so that we can all learn something. Okay, so moving on to the next tip, I have here macOS open with different config. You can see that on the right hand side. What does this mean? So let's say that I don't have Neovide open. I'm just going to show you the applications that I have open right now. Neovide is one of them. So I'm just going to close it here with Q. And let's say that I open the Neovide application here from Raycast in macOS. I just opened the app itself. I'm not going to open it from Neovim. I'm going to open the Neovide executable. So if I hit enter here, notice which distribution or which configuration opened, which is my configuration, Neovim. How did I do this? There's two ways, I think. If I go back to my CSHRC file, I think that you could have an alias here for the config so that when you open nvim, it's going to open whatever configuration you want. That's the way that I did it in the past. But if you notice right now, I don't have any aliases for the nvim config. Why? Because when I type nvim, I wanted to open the default Neovim configuration. No distribution, nothing applied. If I come here to my home directory and I type nvim, I think that the last distribution that I opened is the one that is going to be brought up. If I quit out of here and I type VL, which is another alias that I have, that's going to bring up LazyGit. If I quit here and if I just type nvim, it's going to bring up LazyGit. So I think it just brings up the last distribution that was used. Not sure why, but that's the way that it works. So since I don't have that alias configured, every time that I opened the Neovide app from here, it would open the default Neovim configuration. Nothing was there, and I wanted it to open this Neovim configuration. If you want to learn how to download and test multiple Neovim configurations, including my Neovim config with the theme and everything, you can watch this video. I explain how to do that. You can download Kickstart, NVChat, AstroNVim, LazyVim, LunarVim, or whatever any other configuration that you find in GitHub. So how did I do this? If I go here to my home tmux session, just gonna clear the screen. Notice that I have some files. You're gonna notice this neovide.env.list. Let me open Neovim real quick to navigate a little bit easier here. Here are the different files. So I just created this Neovide file. This is the name that I gave to it. Here are the contents of the file. So when I execute Neovide, notice that it sets this environment variable nvim app name to Neovim. So that's why when I open Neovide from here, from my macOS applications, it opens my configuration. There's some other updates that I want to share with you regarding Neovide. Notice here that it says cursor color. Notice the color of the cursor that I have here is different. So I'm going to bring up Neovide real quick. Letter F, capital N, that brings it up. And you're going to notice that the color of the cursor is the exact same here. So how did I do this? Let me open the options.lua file. Options, here it is. And now if we scroll down to the Neovide section here at the bottom, you're going to notice that I have a few notes in here. We keep scrolling down a little bit more. Here you're going to find something related to the cursor, Neovide cursor color. So here's where I'm setting the highlight groups for the cursor. Cursor, no cursor, and cursor IM. Notice where I'm doing this. Notice that if I go up here a little bit more, this Neovide section, I configure everything inside this condition so that these settings apply only to Neovide. You also have to make sure that these highlight groups have the colors that you want. I have those set in this other file. If I type gx here, notice that it's going to take me to this file in Neovide. So that's pretty nice. And now let me search for cursor here. You're going to notice that I'm setting the cursor colors. Okay, so just make sure that you set the highlight groups as well for this to take effect. This is where I manage my colors in this file. Notice the next item that shows here, fonts looks bolder. So what do I mean by this? If I jump here back to my terminal to Ghosty, you're going to notice that the font doesn't look as thick. And I open this exact same file, letter F capital N, it opens it here. Notice that I'm going to be switching between the two. And you're going to notice that the font is different. Let me go to the very top of the file. So you notice the difference here. doesn't bother me. It's just something that you need to keep in mind. I was reading through some issues. I'm not the only one. A lot of different people has the same behavior, and it does not affect me at all. Okay, the next item on the list here is to install Neovide. Check out my previous video. I already let you know what that video is, so make sure that you check it out. I also wanted to show you this Twitter post. Notice that it says there no promises, but tmux support. I was tagged there by Falcucci, just saying thanks for the previous video. Pretty nice guy. He mentioned a few things here, so if you want to check this out, go and check this post. I just left a comment here letting them know that tmux, is something that I miss when I'm working in Neovide. There's a project explorer. They already have NeoHub to manage instances, so that's another option. I have another video about project explorer in Neovide if you want to check that out as well. Neovide project explorer to navigate across projects or directories. So what he's mentioning here is about this different option NeoHub. I haven't tested it, but it's just so that you keep it in mind. Notice here that soon maybe they could give more support to tmux using the Neovim built-in terminal instead. There are no promises here, but this makes me think that this is something that they're working on. So if you want to follow this thread, I'm going to leave a link in the video description. So what else do we have here on the right? Let's see, image support. It seems that image support is also coming to Neovide. If I open this link here, you're going to see another GitHub issue. This was on October the 23rd, 2023. It seems that they have started working on this. If we scroll down here to the very bottom, notice that it's on the planning stage. That was November 10th, a month ago. And Neovim is also working on this to have images supported on the Neovim terminal. So we'll see. It's not something that is supported as of yet, but probably will be supported in the future. I think I covered all of the things that I wanted to share with you in this video. Again, if you have other tips that you would like to share with us, please leave them down in the comments. If you have suggestions, ideas, or things that I could improve related to Neovide, make sure you share them down below. That's it for this video. I hope you find it useful. I'll see you in the next one.